This is DWBS Sports. DWBS Sports, it's your favorite show. DWBS Sports, where degenerates go. DWBS Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Halterman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the Dudes Who Bet Sports Show. It is one of our favorite shows of the year, Papa Dude. It is Arkansas Derby weekend.
That's right.
We've been covering Oaklawn all meet long, but the big one is coming up. I'm pumped. I'm not going to be there, obviously. I'm in New York, but I'm still pretty pumped. What's your excitement level for it?
Well, I don't think I'm pumped. I didn't think it drew such a great field. But if you don't have Forte in it, I don't know whether you have a good field right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't. It seems to me like it hasn't been real good the last couple of years at Oaklawn. But it's still the Arkansas Derby, and it still will pack them in like crazy, like it always does. I think the weather is finally going to be decent for them on a big day, which they really need. I definitely will be watching. Sandy and I haven't 100% ruled it out yet that we're not going, but I don't think we're going to, because I think we're going to go down in a couple of weeks when the weather may be a little bit more sure, for the Apple Blossom, which is in a couple of weeks. So anyway, I definitely will be watching, and it is a good race. It's going to be a good race, I think.
Yep, we're going to cover it all today on the show. Include Arkansas, and then we are also going to cover the Final Four, give quick picks for that as well. So we've got a lot going on. Jason asks, how's the weather in upstate New York? He hates living in New York sometimes. I've been worse, Jason. It's not too bad. I think it was 30-something today when I went outside, so it's not too bad. That's okay. No big deal. Come on, Jason, toughen up. No, listen, in the winter, it gets terribly cold here. All right. Let's get to it, Papa Dude. Let's just go right into it. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I'll put it up on the screen now. We're going to start with Friday. So we're going to work our way to the Arkansas Derby. But you wanted to talk about this race on Friday. It's going to be crazy. The Matron Stakes on Friday. It's going to be race 9 on the card, going 6 furlongs for the fillies and mares. A field of 7, $250,000 purse. It's the return of Matarea and the return of Wicked Halo. I'm guessing that's why you wanted to talk about this race. This is a good one to kick it off. You
better believe it. That's why, these are two horses that have been off for a while. It's going to be very interesting to see how they come back after good years last year. So I think this is two really good horses that they've got coming in for this one. This is a new stakes, isn't it? I don't remember this one.
It's one of the newer ones they've done when they've changed the schedule.
Yeah. Okay. I think this shapes up as a really good one. You've got Wicked Halo, who had won 4 in a row going into the Breeders' Cup, ran well, finished 3rd, been off since. And then you got Matarea, who had won 3 in a row and finished 3rd in a grade 1 at Saratoga last August and has been off since. Has there been an injury involved with her?
Yeah, it seems like she had a little bit of an issue after that race at Saratoga. Had to take some time off. Been working okay, though, down at Fairgrounds leading up to this one.
Sure has. So this is two really good horses going at it. I think this is going to be a great one to watch. And then you got a local favorite there in the 3, Pretty Birdie, who's ran well at Oaklawn. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Asmussen horse because we're not sure about the other one and the injury. But I think this is shaping up as a really good race between those two.
I do too. I think it's a 2-horse race between Matarea and Wicked Halo. I went the other way. I went the Brad Cox runner, Matarea. I think her best race is a little bit better than Wicked Halo. You see 3 races back, she was able to beat Wicked Halo pretty easily there at Churchill Downs. She romped at Belmont, and then all of a sudden just didn't show up at the greatest race at Saratoga that day, had to have time off after that, which kind of tells me something went a little bit wrong in that race. So Matarea for me on top. I have a lot of respect for Wicked Halo. This is a horse that 2 back in the Raven Run ran so good that they put her in the Breeders' Cup. They didn't feel like they had a choice. They just said, hey, we got to put her in there. And she ran really well, got 3rd, only beaten 3.5.
And that was coming off 2 weeks. I mean, just a 2 week break.
Yep.
Right. And ran 3rd. to two really good horses. So
Yeah, I've been on her bandwagon almost every time she started. I did not play her in the Breeders' Cup that day, but the races before, I was all over. I'm just going to go 2-6 as far as the pick fours and pick fives and move on. But I do favor Matarea on top just a bit in this spot. But to me, it's a 2-horse race. I mean, Pretty Birdie lost last time out to Yagiri. It was a sloppy track. Maybe she bounces back and runs better on a fast track. I just don't think she's quite as good as these two runners. Do you?
no, she's not been in the class that these two have been in.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like her a lot. But
Yeah.
I don't think she can. I don't think she can beat either one of them if they're in form and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Asmussen off this kind of layoff, hits at 20%, Cox hits at 27%. So you don't really worry about layoffs when it's come to those two trainers. They usually have them ready to go. So I'm not too concerned about them showing up and running a clunker of a race. I think they'll be ready. I guess did my internet fade out for a second there?
It has a couple of times, yes.
Well, it's odd. Jason is right. He said the key to good internet around here is to feed the hamster some caffeine right before you go on. Then he keeps the wheel going at a good pace. It's interesting. We have the best internet they offer at the house now after last year's debacle. And usually it's fine, but there are moments it'll just drop completely. So yeah. I don't know, but hopefully we stay strong. All right. So you're going 6. I'm going 2. Let's go to the next one. I think this is where we really get into some debates where you could go a lot of different ways. Let's go to the fantasy one day later. So this will be on the undercard of the Arkansas Derby. Of course, the final Kentucky prep race here at Oaklawn Park. It's a grade 3 race going a mile and a 16th, a purse of $600,000 for the fillies. Field of 10. You've got Wet Paint. She is the favorite. She's back after winning 2 in a row here at Oaklawn. Are you going to make it 3 in a row with Wet Paint, or are you going elsewhere?
Well, I'm going to stick with her. She proved a lot to me in the last race. The way she won that. Don't see any reason why she can't come back and do it again. I think it was on a sloppy track, though, right?
Yep.
So that's maybe some concern. Maybe these other horses will do better on a fast track, but I just feel like she really looked good that day. Wasn't that high on her. I know you were, but I thought she looked fantastic in winning that one. So I've got to stick with her a lot. I do kind of like the 2-horse. I think this horse is going to improve a little bit from the Honeybee, where she finished 3rd to Wet Paint. But it was on the slop. It's supposed to be a fast track on Saturday. I think the weather's going to be good. So this horse has the potential to maybe step up and get her. But I like Wet Paint, and I don't know. There's a couple of other ones good. The 10-horse ran really well against Wet Paint, and at 10-1, I think that's a horse you need to throw in there because Chris Hartman is running lights out at Oaklawn, and that horse ran really well in the Honeybee. So that's another one you look at. I also kind of like the 8 Royal Spa a little bit. And this is kind of dumb, but Lucas has got his horses running really, really well.
Yeah.
And Take Charge Brianna was not bad the last time out, finished 2nd. So at 20-1, you might take a flyer on Dwayne because, like I say, his horses are running really well right now.
They are running exceptionally well, and her race last time out was pretty good. I was singled up to Effortlessly Elegant in that spot, and Take Charge Brianna gave her a major scare in that race. Didn't get the job done, was able to get 2nd, though, only beating the neck. So at 20-1, there's worse horses you can play. I went with Wet Paint as well. I've been all over the last 2 races. Might as well do it one more time here. I think the key is going to be what does she look like on a dry, fast track? It's just something we haven't seen from her in the last couple of starts here at Oaklawn. And overall, we have not seen her on a dirt track that is not sloppy or at least wet. So that's going to be the big, question mark coming into the race. However, there's a ton of speed signed on in here. I think she gets the pace set up. She's dominated over the sloppy track. I think she'll run well here. Flavian Pratt aboard again for the 3rd straight time. Give me Wet Paint. I've been a broken record on this show ever since she came to Oaklawn. I'm with you. I think the horse I'm worried about is the number 2 Grand Love for Asmussen, and it was the horse that I was worried about the last time these two matched up. The difference for me is Grand Love coming in off of a layoff in that last race in the Honeybee, where Wet Paint had been running, obviously. Finished third, beaten, 3 3/4. That track, Shotty can tell you, she was standing right there with me. It was just a mess. She may have just needed that one in general, and then the track's wet, and it was just really tough to fire off of a long layoff. Now you're second off the layoff. You're getting Tyler Gaffleone aboard. I think that's Asmussen's number 1 go-to guy right now. So I kind of like that as well. There's a lot of speed, but she's drawn inside of all of it. So I think the number 2 Grand Love can get to the front. She may get pressed, but I do think she'll have that lead, and that's the one they're going to have to come get. So I do like Grand Love in second. There's a lot of different ways you could go for third. I would try to get a price involved. I know you mentioned the 8 or the 10. I would kind of lean more towards your 5 and trying to Take Charge Brianna in that third spot, just to kind of juice this thing up. I don't hate it. She's going to come running. There is a lot of speed. Like I said, a lot of it could fall apart. She might pick up a few of the pieces. We're pretty similar in this one. I think it's hard to go against Wet Paint in this spot until you see her lose.
Yep. Sometimes with the horses, you just keep on them until they get beat. Sometimes when you're betting sports teams, you go too far and you fall in love, and you can't fall in love with a horse either. But when you see them and they're running really good, and there's really not anything in here that's better than that horse, there's not a dominant horse in there that can, that's any better than her. You just stick with her till she shows you otherwise. And I think you can do that in horse racing. So,
yep. No, we do it in both horse racing and sports, like you said. And sometimes you ride them and then they kind of buck you off. But, the way to look at it is if you cash on Wet Paint 2-back and you cashed on her last time, if she beats you this time or you lose with her, well, you've cashed on her 2 out of 3. You're positive on that horse. So that's how I always look at it. And it could get beat. Maybe a fast track, she's just not as good. We'll see. But I still think she's going to run pretty well. The good ones can run on about anything. And listen, 3 starts on the dirt, 3 wins. I think she makes it 4. All right, let's go to the main event.
Do you think she's going to go down any on the odds? I think she'll stay around 8-5, don't you?
I do too, because it's a large field.
Yeah.
And with it being a large field, you see that. You see those odds kind of hold because there's a lot of different options. And there's options that make sense on this. When it comes to this race, if you want to go against her, you can make some cases for some horses. So, I think you'll get about 8-5, maybe down to 6-5, something like that. But I don't think she's below even money in this spot. So, all right, main event. Let's do it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, Arkansas Derby going to be race 12 on the card Saturday at Oaklawn. We're going a mile and an eighth, $1,250,000, of course, for the 3-year-olds. Grade 1 race, the last major prep at Oaklawn for the Kentucky Derby. We've got a field that lacks a superstar. I agree with you, what you said at the beginning of the show, but it is a solid field of 11. I think it's a decent betting race. All right, where are you going? Who's your top pick in the Arkansas Derby?
Well, I think it's a fantastic betting race.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because you look, I don't see the favorite at 5-2 going down much at all. So you're in a race with a full field, and your favorite's only 5-2, and there's lots of other options you can go with to try to beat the favorite, because I don't think this is a solid favorite. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would like to beat I think I'm going to go against the favorite, but I'm going to throw the favorite in. You got to throw the horse in your whatever it is, your pick 3s, pick 4s, all of that. You got to keep the 8 reincarnate in there. So you got to start with that horse. Didn't run very well in the Rebel. It was okay. Wasn't awful. Was the wet track a problem? You were there. I don't think it got a very good trip, right? Didn't it get shuffled back early and fell way behind and had to come running?
Yep.
What was your impression of the horse seeing it in person?
Oh, he's a beautiful horse, and he's quite the looker, and he's built to the moon. I mean, he's a big,
Yeah.
bulky type of horse. The problem is he had a poor trip, but he himself caused a lot of it. He didn't get out of the gate, and he didn't really get pinched. He just didn't come out of the gate. So
Right.
I think the key to this one is if he gets out in front, he's going to be a little bit tougher to beat this time around,
Yeah.
obviously. And he also showed in that last race, okay, I can fire on a sloppy track. And if I'm 11 lengths behind at the first call, I'll still at least make a run. He got up for third. He ran really well. I couldn't wrap my head around picking him as the favorite in this race. That's where I'm at with him.
Yeah. And, obviously it's a Baffert horse. We just don't know what these, how this trainer switch and all this stuff is affecting this whole deal. So it's hard to back him.
Mm-hmm.
When there's others you might look at, and then you got to decide which way you want to go. I like the 6 a lot. He's a Pennsylvania bred, so that's iffy. Won the Risen Star last time out. It's been running pretty well. Not getting much love, I don't think. Raced 5 times, won 3. Got Cox, got Pratt. There's not a lot of negatives in that. And at 9-2, I can see that one maybe going down to 4-1, maybe 7-2, something like that. I think it's going to take some money. So I kind of like that horse. Our old favorite, number 10, is the race going to shape up to where the horse makes the run? We know the horse is going to do it. I did hear Asmussen after the Red Route 1's last race say, we're going to have to see if we can get him up towards the front a little closer than where we've been, because you and I have watched this horse. He's been too far back to make the run to actually catch the leaders. If they can get him up a little farther and then makes his run, this horse is really dangerous in this race, I think. This could be the one. He could do it, and he's at 3-1, which I think that's too low. I don't think he should be 3-1. Do you?
No, I don't. I think the price is a little bit low. You mentioned the 2 horses I really like the most. I really didn't think I'd do it. I think it's really important. I've learned this over the years. Each race is its own thing. Don't take what happened 2-3 races ago and form an opinion on a horse and then never look at him, because every race presents a different kind of puzzle and a different kind of race shape. I went number 10 Red Route 1 on top. And
Did you? Yeah.
I don't feel great about it, but I feel good about my reasonings. So I do think there's going to be pace in this race. I think they've entered the 3 to kind of speed up the race. The 4 can really go. 2 Eagles River. Reincarnate can run early. Rocket Can will be around early. So I think there's going to be enough pace. So I like that. My biggest thing is he gets Tyler Gaffalione back aboard today. And I think that's going to make a huge difference. I want everybody to go back and watch his race in the Kentucky Jockey Club, where he sat 2 lengths behind the front runner. And at no point in the race was he more than 3 lengths behind. He turns for home. He's in a freaking cluster. He gets stopped 3 or 4 times, and he ends up finishing 4th. And I think everybody was like, well, they just got to take him back and they got to make one run. No, if he would have gotten clear, he would have won that race. There's no doubt. He was surging late. I think he's brought Tyler back, and I think they're just going to tell him, sit mid-pack with him. Get him in that position. And you know what? I think he will fire just as big if you do that. I'm just counting on him to kind of change the tactics and get the job done here. They're also going to add blinkers to the horse.
Yep.
I don't know if that's going to help or hurt. I think blinkers are kind of an overrated thing one way or the other when it comes to changing and a horse improving or declining or whatever. I just really like that Tyler Gaffalione's here. I think he's the number 1 jock for Asmussen. I think he's going to ride him like he rode him in the Kentucky Jockey Club, and will fall where we fall. The other problem it's like these last two races have really kind of been outliers for what he had been doing anyway. I mean, he's 19 behind. Like that's crazy
It's
last time.
awful.
So I really like him. I really like him in this spot. I also like 6 Angel of Empire. I think he might be the safer of the two plays. You know he can win. You've seen him win races.
Yeah.
And that's big.
I agree. I'm totally with you. I don't like Reincarnate as the favorite. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't have any confidence in that horse. And I have just not seen him do much. I know he has talent. In the interview I saw with Asmussen after Red Route 1's last race, the first thing he said was, we got to get him up closer to the front.
Yeah.
So obviously that is what they're going to do. Now, is the horse capable of doing that? Well, he was in the Kentucky Jockeys Club.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't he this time? Why can't he? So I think they're going to set him back 5, 6 off the pace and where he's comfortable and then rock and roll. And if they get that trip, I totally agree with you. I think he's got a big chance to win this one.
Well, here, to me, this is the biggest race of his career because I think it's very obvious that's what they're going to try to do. And maybe he won't do it. That's whatever. But and I said this about Tapit Trice too, they're going to have to in the bluegrass sit him closer. You know, if the horses like Red Route 1 or Tapit Trice can sit mid-pack instead of sitting 6 behind the second to last place horse and still make that kind of move, all of a sudden they become a contender to win the big one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of just, well, this is an underneath horse and that's all it'll ever be. I really believe this is a monster race for Red Route 1. And I think if he can sit a little closer and fire like that, he all of a sudden becomes a contender, but it's a big if.
Yeah.
And he's got to go out there and do it. And that's why I say this is a really important race for him.
Yeah, and it makes this race
Blinkers,
extremely.
changing jockey.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so you're cutting out. So if I stepped on you there, that's what happened.
You're all right. I'm gonna switch internet. My phone is spotty. So give us. Do you have a long shot that you like in this race?
Well, a horse that's run extremely well down there is the 4, Two Eagles River. I think it's a little outclassed in this, but the horses ran really well at Oaklawn and other places as well. So that might be one that could come in and steal it, you know, because I don't think this field is just fantastic at all. So, yeah, that would be one. Okay, there you go.
I'm back.
And then I don't know whether you heard me, but I was talking about Two Eagles River.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's a horse that could come in and maybe steal it. I heard D. Wayne talking about Bourbon Bash. I didn't like what he said. So he threw him in there because he's got to have somebody in the Arkansas Derby. But he said he's really going to have to improve a lot. And this was last Saturday. He said that. So I think you better stay away from that one. But I would go with Two Eagles River if I was going to pick a long shot. You got anything you like better?
I agree. I agree with Two Eagles River. I was going to make a case for him. I'm glad you brought him up. I think he's just a horse that has been running against really good ones all year long. He loses sometimes. He wins sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He beat Disarm by 4 lengths last time out. Disarm comes back and runs second. I think he makes a ton of sense. I think Two Eagles River 10-1. Don't you think you'll get every bit of 10-1 on him?
Oh, there's no doubt. No question. Yeah. He's a local horse, you know, he hadn't shipped in from anywhere.
Right.
And, you know, the connections are solid as they can be. Hartman's a really good trainer, but he doesn't win Arkansas Derbies. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to stay at 10-1. I think if that was an Asmussen horse, he would not be 10-1.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. I think distance is a question mark for him. Yeah. You know, they've been sprinting him, and they stretched him out to a mile, but he ran a mile twice. He did kind of get smoked by Verifying and Gun Pilot, but he did turn around and run a really good race. My thing with him is he's going to play a big part in the race one way or the other, right? Because he's going to be on the pace.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big factor. And you've got Asmussen, I think, has entered the 3 to be on the lead as well. That could really soften it up for these horses we're talking about, like the 6 and like the 10, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What about Diodoro? He's having a great meet.
He is.
Claimed a horse 2 races back and then won a allowance with him last time out, beating Shopper's Revenge. I'm talking about the number 5 Airtime. Shopper's Revenge was okay in Louisiana. What do you think about him?
I tell you, if you're betting against Diodoro down there right now, you're taking a chance. I mean, this guy has been phenomenal the entire meet. But again, I'm going to fall back on something. He doesn't win Arkansas Derbies. You know, he just, and it's not because he's not a good trainer. For some reason, he's just doesn't get that great horse, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in a race like this, where I don't think there's anything that's exceptional, he could do it. You know, he's another one at 15-1. You could bet worse. That's for sure. I would definitely take him at 15-1 over Bourbon Bash at 15-1.
100%. And yeah, you got 2 horses there the same price. Bourbon Bash is not one I would be interested in at 30-1 even.
No.
One horse that will take a lot of money. We haven't talked about him yet, and that's the number 7 Rocket Can, who's running away from Forte, and I don't blame him, at Gulfstream Park and taking a shot here at Oaklawn. This horse won the Holy Bull 2 races back, was second to the previously mentioned Forte last time out. What do you think about Rocket Can coming in here? Bill Mott has brought horses here in the past and done okay with them.
Yeah.
What do you think about him?
He's one that we probably should mention for sure. I mean, the horses ran well. Obviously, Bill Mott is not stupid, and he saw his horse get beat by 4 lengths by Forte in the Fountain of Youth, which probably every horse in this field would get beat by 4 lengths to Forte at this time, from what we've seen. So he said, well, let's just ship him over here to a race that's the purse is $1,250,000. It's not an overpowering field, and we can win this thing. And so he does legitimately have a shot. So he's another one that you've got to consider in your exotics. I mean, in your multis, you just have to throw him in there. Great trainer, knows what he's doing. And yeah, I think I would definitely have to put him in there. To me, I like him better than Reincarnate. That may be something stupid to say, but I really do.
I agree. I like Reincarnate, or I like him better than Reincarnate as well. As this has gotten closer, Reincarnate's gone down the list for me. I just don't feel like he's going to be good enough. Rocket Can, it's interesting. He lost to Disarm on debut. He lost to Instant Coffee next time out. He then won, and then he lost to Confidence Game, of course, the winner of the Rebel. He then won, and then he lost to Forte. He's kept great company. Maybe
he has
the best company out of all of these, right?
Yeah.
So
he's somebody you really got to look at. And you know what? This is a race too, where we're making our picks today. Okay, and we're making them for the Bible, or what's it called now? The Racing Bible? What's it?
The Betting Bible.
The Betting Bible for the Florida race card at Gulfstream and this race. We're picking it now, but this is a race that come race time, when it actually goes off, we could change our minds real easy on a race like this, because we're going to dive into it maybe just even deeper than what we are. And, you start looking, and there might be something that you find that you overlooked that changes your mind, because this one is so close.
Yeah, I think more than anything, just how the race is bet will determine some things. Because you do have some horses you're close with, and it's like, what if you get here to post time and Red Route 1's 9 to 5? Like I can't do that. Right?
Absolutely not.
So then you look at an Angel Empire or a Rocket Can. I guess to round it up here with Reincarnate, I don't know what he is. I still don't have a read on him.
Right.
You don't see a Baffert horse win at 16-1 very often. So it kind of tells you they didn't think much about that horse, right?
No, I agree.
And then he came over here, and you would love to have seen him get a normal trip and seen what he would have done, because he leaves that mystique of, well, it was a bad trip. And we just don't know about him up to this
And
point.
like you said, he caused a lot of it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he may do that again. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the race he won where he was 16-1, wasn't that all Baffert horses?
Pretty much. I think there was maybe one that wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that means either.
I don't either. Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. I'm going to make a dumb statement here probably, but I can pretty much assure you this. I think our top 4 are the 6, 7, 8, and 10. I think pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are not going to finish those 4. There's going to be somebody that's going to get in there besides those 4. So you got to decide which one of those 4 you want to throw out, and who do you want to throw in there with a price.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, and if you can hit it, you're going to have a very good payout.
Yeah, without any doubt. And Curtis says he feels confident Red Rat 1 will get second or third. And I think that's a smart
I
statement.
do too.
If you're saying who is the horse that is likely to hit the board, it's him.
I think so. Yeah.
I've never played him to win a race in his life. And I haven't. Not one race. I went back and I looked at, picks, and I've never played him to win ever. But I just feel like it's now or never. Like, this is it for him at this level I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everything should set up. They're trying all kinds of things to get him to improve. He's been right there with chances. Third off the layoff. I mean, everything is there for him to do it.
The key is
if he
good?
loses, I'll never play him on top of you.
The key is he good enough? That's the thing. We're going to find out.
I don't think he's good enough to be good, like really good horses. I think he's good enough to catch Reincarnate.
Yeah.
I think he's good enough to catch Rocket King.
Yeah.
Can he outkick Angel of Empire? I think he is good enough to do that. So that's what I'm going to try. And yeah, Curtis, this is probably the best way to do it. Key the 10 in a try, throw in some long shots around him, and just make it to where, hey, if he hits the board, I've got a shot to cash this ticket. And that probably is the smartest way to play it. Because the one thing about him, and I've said it from the start, you know what you're getting out of him. And you know what you're getting out of him coming into this. But I just think he's probably one of those horses where every time a horse beats him just because he gets himself in trouble. But I know the trainer. I know what he's trying to do. And I know he's doing everything he can to prevent another Looking at Lee. But he might just be another Looking at Lee.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Yeah. Out of that 10, 6, 7, and 8, I think if I was going to eliminate one of them, I'd throw the 8 out. I really don't have any confidence in that 8 horse.
I'm with you. End of the day, I think, you get a Two Eagles River involved, and you throw out the favorite. I'm with you. I think, if you think a Harlow Cap is going to get there and hold on, I think that's where you go. I just think it's a situation where the 8 Reincarnate can win. I'm not going to be shocked if he wins at all. It might just be a situation where he's a little bit too low of a price to kind of really rely on him in this spot.
Yeah. But I also think the 10's too low.
I know. Gabe says, how much does the outside post matter going 2 turns at Oaklawn? It is a fairly long run into the first turn when they go 1 mile and an eighth.
Oh, it's a long way.
When it's a mile 16th or a mile, it's a little bit shorter run, but the mile and an eighth, they start at so Oaklawn, just to be clear, it's a 1 mile around, perfect 1 mile around the track. So it's way backed up for 1 mile and an eighth. You're starting almost at the top of the stretch. So they're going to run most of the stretch before they get to that turn. So if you get hung wide in this race, you're either extremely lucky or you just have a bad jockey.
Yeah. If you go back and watch a lot of replays of Oaklawn at distances, you'll notice those outside horses cut in very, very quickly at Oaklawn. I've noticed that a lot, where they try to get in. They do everywhere, but they really go to extremes at Oaklawn, trying to get, because it is a long haul on that before they reach the first turn.
Yep. A mile race, a race going a mile at Oaklawn, it's tough. That comes up on you real quick, and you can just do the math. Mile start, mile 16th, mile and an eighth, and just keep going backwards. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'll be a huge factor where you've drawn. I really don't. I think it's going to be, especially with like a red route 1 type, probably just going to have to drop back anyway. Hopefully not last, but you're going to be mid pack. You shouldn't get hung just real wide. So, all right. Any final thoughts?
I will say this though, Aaron. They interviewed Dwayne on Saturday. He did say that they were asking, does it bother you where you get put, where you draw, what post you draw here at Oaklawn? And he said, I don't want to be outside. He did say that. But I think he was mentioning more the 11 and the 12 slot than he was the 10. But at the same time, that might be a little bit of a factor, but I don't think it is for this horse because it's kind of the way he runs anyway, Yep.
No, I agree. I think obviously, ideally, you don't ever want to really be outside going a route.
No.
But said it's a shorter run for Forte from the 11 hole in the Florida Derby than it is here at Oaklawn.
Yes.
So that's the quote unquote good news.
Still going to be a great, great race.
It should be really good. I have hopes that somebody runs really strongly and comes out of this and is a big time, contender. But we've kind of seen races like this all year long, and we think that's out of it. It is a big time contender. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. All right. Final pick. You are going to go with who?
I'm going with 6.
You're going to go 6, Angel of Empire. I am going to go number 10, Red Route 1. All right. Quickly, we're going to go now. We're going to do college basketball. We've been doing it all year long. It's time for the final games here. Florida Atlantic and San Diego State will kick us off on CBS, 5 o'clock Central Time. San Diego State, 2.5-point favorite. Can they keep the train rolling, or will Cinderella make it all the way to the national championship?
Well, I think you can call either one of them a Cinderella, really. I mean,
that's true.
I don't know that you can call a 5 seed a Cinderella, but they kind of are. We've never been here. So we were talking about it on the Daily Show. And this is dumb to say, but it's kind of anticlimactic to me. I love the Final Four, but this one doesn't interest me much. And it's no knock on these teams. It just doesn't have the star power. And I guess maybe we ought to just say good. It doesn't have the star power. I wish Florida Atlantic was playing Miami and San Diego State was playing UConn. I think I'd have more interest in the two Cinderellas playing each other. Because then you would be, if you didn't care about Miami or Connecticut, you would be rooting for the Cinderellas to beat those two teams. So I think most people think the national championship game is Miami and Connecticut. I think most people feel like the winner of that game is going to win the national championship, and probably will. But you better not overlook these other two teams. They're pretty darn good. I think San Diego State has had the tougher road to get to this spot than Florida Atlantic has. When you look at Florida Atlantic, and I don't want to take anything away from them because, man, what they've done has been incredible. They drew Memphis off the bat, and Memphis is a talented team, but they're not disciplined, and you can beat them in a close game, and that's exactly what they did. Then they got the break they needed in the second round instead of playing Purdue, they played Fairleigh Dickinson. Now, they may have beat Purdue anyway, but that's a pretty easy game to get to the Sweet 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other break they were in the weakest bracket. There is no question they were in the weakest bracket. So what did they do? In the Sweet 16, they drew a very suspect number 4 in Tennessee. So again, I'm not taking anything away from them. They still had to beat these teams, and they did. And then to go on, they had to beat a Kansas State team that traditionally is not in this spot. And I thought they kind of unraveled a little bit. K-State did, kind of went to Noel exclusively way too much when they had other players. I thought they kind of disintegrated, and they beat them. So they've had a little bit of a tougher spell. When you look at San Diego State, they had to beat a 31-win team just to get to the next round. Then they got lucky when Virginia got beat, and they played Furman, so that was their easy one. Then they knocked off the number 1 team in the country in Alabama. What am I getting at? I think they're more tested. I think they're more tested than Florida Atlantic. I love the way San Diego State plays. Man, they just suffocate you with their defense. They're very long. They have just slowed down everybody. I think they're going to frustrate Florida Atlantic, and I think they're going to beat them. So I like San Diego State to cover the 2.5 in this first game.
I'm with you. I think the defense has really been evident, and teams that shoot well, score a lot, they're not scoring on San Diego State. And I think their size out front is big. So I'm with you. I like San Diego State in this game. I'm going to root for Florida Atlantic.
Me too.
I'd love to see Conference USA win all 3 tournaments. I think that'd be amazing. Charlotte won the CBI. You're going to have North Texas or UAB tonight winning the NIT. And then we'll see if Florida Atlantic can win the whole thing. That would be unbelievable. But San Diego State, it's great for the little schools because the Mountain West being represented in the national championship game is great for the little schools. And, of course, Conference USA would be fantastic as
great.
well. Yeah.
Do you know the other game to get here for San Diego State that I didn't mention, they completely throttled a tremendous offensive team in Creighton.
Yeah.
Held them at 56 points. Creighton can light it up.
Yep.
And they stopped Alabama too. So I just feel like their defense will be the difference.
I agree. All right, let's go on to Miami and UConn. Miami's a team I just have not been able to get right the whole tournament. UConn, definitely a team that we've been on the right side of a lot. They look really, really good. We talked a lot about how tough that West bracket was. UConn rolled through it. It wasn't any problem at all. Now they get Miami. Who you like?
Well, I thought the bracket Miami was in was very difficult too. I thought these two were far and away the toughest brackets. And I thought the committee really screwed up stacking these two brackets. And the other two I didn't think were that strong. But anyway, I thought Miami was underseeded all the way through. They've been just as impressive as UConn. I mean, they're not getting quite the attention that UConn is, and UConn deserves every bit of what they're getting. But Miami has disposed of Indiana. They beat the shit out of Houston. Yep. I mean, they just stomped them.
Yep.
And then they came back and they throttled a good Texas team, a really good Texas team. They're just as impressive as UConn. In my opinion, they're tough. They can shoot. If they're hitting that 3 balls, they are tough to beat. And they're nails, and they know it. I think UConn may win it, but I'm going to take Miami in the points in that game. I think 5.5 is too much.
It might be a little too much. I'm going to go UConn, though. I think they're just a little bit better than Miami. But listen, I've thought that about Miami all tournament, and they just keep winning. They were really impressive. Texas, they should be shot. They had that thing won, and they blew it. But listen, Miami's been beat a couple times in this tournament and have come back to win. So you do have to give them a little bit of credit as well. But I'm with you. I'm not with you. I like Connecticut here. I would lay the 5.5. I think they're going to beat them by a little bit more than that. But like I said, I've been wrong all tournament on Miami. All right. you think Connecticut's still going to win, though, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so Connecticut, San Diego State. Who you got?
Here's the thing. Sometimes you win that game. I'm talking about Connecticut or Miami, either one.
Mm-hmm.
Psychologically, you say, okay, we did it. That's the game we had to win. And you look at these other teams that you've never heard of much, and you don't play well in that next game.
Yeah.
And that would be the only thing, because I do think both of these teams are better than the other one. But when you play defense like San Diego State does, saying they win,
Mm-hmm.
and because I'm picking them, so I'm going to assume they win. You can stop anybody, and they have stopped Alabama, and they have stopped Creighton, and those are two really good offensive teams. Why can't they stop these teams too? They can. So if one of these teams is not quite ready to play and they're psychologically not there because they think they're better than this team, they could get ambushed. But when you look at the talent and you look at everything else, the winner of the Miami-UConn game should win the national title. So if it is Connecticut, that's who I'm picking to win it all.
Yeah, I'm going to go Connecticut as well. I think they're just a little bit better. I think San Diego State will be interesting, though. They got size, and that's where Connecticut has really exposed people. But San Diego State does have size. Maybe they can defend them. But, boy, end of the day, I just couldn't get over how impressive Connecticut looked in that regional. Those two games, they dominated. They took an Arkansas team who was hot, and a lot of people thought could beat them. They killed them. And then they took a Gonzaga team who people were like, yeah, this could be their year. They killed them.
They did. They destroyed them.
If they play that kind of basketball, it's over. So I'm going to go Connecticut. It's a chalky pick now, but I can't go against them.
They have been the most impressive. There's no doubt. I had them going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
I had them out that far, and I had Miami out that far.
Yep.
And they had the other two winning their first round game, and that was it. So I was our good friend Shotty. I don't know if she'd ever done a bracket before, and she was sweating it out far longer than any of the rest of us, where our brackets were already gone. And I'm thinking, my God, Shotty, if you've got a couple of teams left as far as you were going through there, you've done extremely well. And she thought she was doing awful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and she picked Fairleigh Dickinson to beat Purdue as well. So
that's a pretty good pick.
Jason's got a 30-1 futures wager on the Huskies to win.
But he hates them.
I know, but he might like them a little better at 30.
He's going to like them a lot better if they pull this one off.
Last time I saw they're minus 120, I think, to win.
Is that
at
right?
this point? Yeah, so that's a pretty good ticket to be holding right now for sure.
Yeah, I wonder what San Diego State is.
I'll tell you what. I'll look it up here. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Here we go. Future way. Let's see. Okay, Connecticut is minus 125.
Okay.
San Diego State is plus 390.
Okay.
Miami is plus 440. And Florida Atlantic is plus 550.
Well, the reason why Miami's plus 440 is because everybody thinks UConn's going to beat them.
Right.
So you got to decide if you want to bet that and you don't want to bet UConn.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you want? Miami at plus 440 or San Diego State at 395 or the other one?
Yeah. Another thing you can do if you are confident in San Diego State, you can bet specific finishes. Like Connecticut over San Diego State is 2-1 right now, plus 200.
Oh, okay.
So you could do something like that if you wanted to create some value around Connecticut, or Connecticut over Florida Atlantic plus 300.
Yeah.
So there are some different things you could do. You can take the whole field against Connecticut. So Connecticut minus 125, the field minus 105. So if you're like, somebody will beat them, minus 105. So there's things you can do.
There is. I'm not sure they're going to beat Miami. I think I'd take Miami at plus 440.
I would, if you're going to take it, I would lean that one. Your ticket might be burnt in the first game, but you're getting plus 440 on the second best team, probably.
Yeah. I don't think I would throw a lot of money on UConn at -125. I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm not that confident in any of these teams.
Yeah.
You know, to get minus money.
I agree. NCAA Women's Basketball Championship, South
Okay.
Carolina -290, so
Yeah.
overwhelming favorite there.
I get that one.
LSU +600, Iowa +850, Virginia Tech +900.
Who's Carolina play first?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had it.
No, I just had the odds here. I would say, I think Carolina, I don't know. Here, I'm looking it up here. The women's side, not something I'm overly excited about. It looks like LSU and Virginia Tech will play, and then Iowa and South Carolina will play, and that is tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yep.
It's tomorrow night.
Yep.
Okay.
I would say,
I think if you're going to pick a plus, you got to decide who's going to win the LSU Virginia Tech game.
yeah.
Because I don't think Iowa's good enough to beat South Carolina.
I would take LSU.
I would too. I would too.
Take LSU. Yeah. South Carolina. I couldn't lay -290. I would take
Well,
LSU.
no, it's not worth betting. I mean, that's They're the UConn, of what right now.
Yeah.
They're almost a given to win.
Yeah.
Because they just are better than anyone else right now.
So quickly, they are 36-0. So they'll be 38-0 if they win it.
That's UConn-like numbers.
Pretty incredible. 32-2 LSU, 31-4 Virginia Tech, 30-6 Iowa, and then 36-0 South Carolina. So 4 30-win teams.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
The women's side of it is probably the bracket everyone should play because it's a little bit more predictable.
It is. Yeah.
The teams at the top are overwhelmingly better than the others.
Yeah.
For the most part.
It is, for sure. Yeah, and that's why you've got a 1, a 2, and I think a 3. What was Iowa? I can't remember.
They're pretty high up there. They're good.
Oh, a 2. So a 1, a 2, and a 3 as far as the seedings go there, where in the men's, you've got a 9, a 5, and a 4.
Exactly.
So it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Which one of them was the 3?
The 3 is LSU. So
LSU, that's right. And they're not a 3.
So somebody, you talk about seedings. LSU went 32-2. They play in the SEC, and they're a 3.
Yeah, they should have been a 2.
So that's
or a 1.
Yeah, but
what was the knock on them? That means their 2 losses were against South Carolina, probably.
Let's see. The 2 losses for LSU. Again, I have no idea. They lost to South Carolina, and they lost to Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee is usually pretty good too. So
they lost to Tennessee by 2 points. Tennessee went 23-10 this year, and they got smoked by South Carolina. So I'd hate to have a 3 seed be 32-2. I play in the SEC. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. There's some of the seeding doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. All right, though. That's it.
All right.
We've got Blinkers Off coming on in 33 minutes. So Blinkers Off going to be next. Of course, Florida Derby will be the main focus there. We'll talk Arkansas as well, though. We'll see. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk the Oaks races as well. Kind of give a rundown of what's going on. Normal Blinkers Off stuff. So that would be 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central coming up. Blinkers Off. So make sure to tune into that. And then once that's over, then you go to Magic Mike. So there's still a lot coming up today. Hopefully, the hamster is working because this was so spotty. Was it better when I switched to my phone?
It was better. You cut out once or twice, but not bad. Is this the first Derby you've missed in a while?
No, I've missed COVID year.
Well, nobody could go then, could they?
No.
That doesn't count.
Let's see. 2021, I was there. 22. Yeah, I guess it would be the first one in quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm getting old, and that's part of it. But Derby Day is just too long for me.
Yeah.
It just is. But that's old age. It's a lot of standing, and it just seems like. But of course, they got so many more minutes between races too, than normal.
Yeah,
it's a long time between the race before the Derby and the Derby. It's usually 45 minutes.
Yeah, it is, and it is a longer day for sure, and you do stand a lot on those days at Oaklawn for sure. But they're trying to get all the weight.
Oh, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's for an older guy like me. It's got to make a 5-hour trip anyway.
Yeah.
It's just gotten to where I'm just wiped out after that day, and I'm in pretty good shape. So it still bothers me to. I don't care to miss it. Used to, I would not miss it for anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I would be there, but I'm here. So Jason says neighbors need to stay offline. I think that's what it is, because when we do the morning show, I don't have any trouble. So I don't know if people are online right now. I don't know. It's weird.
It could be.
It's also they had believe it or not, I'll finish with this.
Yeah.
They had an active shooter scare at the school here today.
Oh, they did?
It turned out to be a what would you call it? A false alarm. I don't know if there was a threat and it never came through or what, but yeah. So maybe that's affecting it. People are online. I don't know. That was a weird deal. I went to Starbucks to get coffee, and like 5 police cars just zoomed by me. I was like, whoa, what is going on? And so I get home, and an hour later, we find that out. Everything's fine. I mean, it was a false alarm, but that was a wild thing. So,
yeah. And, I know you get off one more thing. People don't realize how many false alarm schools have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was involved, and we were a very, very small school. I was involved in 5 or 6 where we had a code and we locked down.
Yeah.
And it was just a suspicious person walking down the street.
Yep.
It's something in that effect that the police see and immediately call the school.
Yep.
And so people don't understand, how many threats there are.
Yeah.
And this one sounded like it was more than a person walking down the street. So
yeah, haven't been able to talk to my nephew. He's a freshman, so I'm sure he'll fill me in. He's been filling me in on the school the last few days, so he
may not know what it was, because you're not supposed to tell the kids.
He knows everything.
Okay, all right.
His mom's a teacher, so we'll know.
Okay, yeah, she'll know.
Maybe I'll report back tomorrow with what.
All right, looking forward to that.
Yeah, we can laugh because nothing.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to get off here. Be back 29 minutes now. Blinkers off, so make sure to check that out. All right, guys, good luck if you're going to Arkansas this weekend. Have a good time, and good luck with your wagers, and we'll see you next week.
This is Due to Bet Sports. Due to Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Due to Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Due to Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Haldeman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.